The first knock came soft, like a test. Then another, harder this time, and then the third one landed like a hammer, shaking the front windows of our little house on Willow Lane. "Mr. Carter," a voice called through the wood. "Open the door, we need to speak with your wife." My heart jumped before my brain could catch up. The sound of authority in that voice, it wasn't something you ignored. Outside, the porch light flickered weakly, fighting against the darkness that had already swallowed the street. The neighborhood of Haven Ridge wasn't used to noise after sunset. This was a town that slept early, that took pride in its silence. The kind of place where kids rode bikes past mailboxes and neighbors trimmed their lawns in perfect synchrony. But that night, silence was gone, and something else had taken its place. I reached for the door handle but froze halfway. My wife, Laura, had been in the kitchen moments earlier, quietly washing dishes after dinner. The sound of running water had stopped the second the knocking began. She appeared behind me now, her face calm, too calm. Her hands were still damp, a towel hanging loosely between her fingers. "Who is it?" she asked. "They said they need to talk to you," I whispered. Her eyes flicked toward the door, not with fear but with recognition. "Don't open it yet," she said. That was when my stomach twisted. Her voice carried a note I hadn't heard before, not panic but control, like someone assessing a threat they'd already faced once. I hesitated, staring at her. "Laura, what's going on?" She didn't answer right away. The knocking came again, 3 sharp thuds that echoed through the hallway. Finally, she said quietly, "Whatever happens, don't say anything, let me talk." Then she moved past me, drying her hands, and opened the door. 3 men stood on the porch. They weren't wearing police uniforms, not exactly. Their dark jackets bore vague patches, no visible insignia. Their posture screamed law enforcement, but their faces were cold and anonymous. The man in front was tall, broad-shouldered and clean-shaven, his jaw set like iron. The 2 behind him stood slightly apart, their hands near their belts, where their weapons rested. "Evening, ma'am," the leader said flatly. "We have a few questions about your involvement with a classified operation. Step outside, please." I blinked. "Classified?" Laura didn't flinch. "Show me your identification." The man hesitated. Just a flicker, but I saw it. Then he reached into his coat and flashed a badge, too quickly for me to read anything. "Step outside," he repeated. But Laura didn't move. Instead, she smiled, faintly, like someone humoring a child who thought he was clever. "Wrong move," she said. And before I could even ask what she meant, she turned on the porch light. The brighter light spilled across the men's jackets, and that's when I saw it. Their badges were fake, laminated, glossy, no official seal. Their sidearms had mismatched holsters. Their boots didn't even have dust from the road, like they'd come straight from somewhere that wasn't law enforcement at all. The leader's jaw tightened. "You've made this harder than it needed to be." Laura crossed her arms. "You've made it illegal." The man took 1 step forward and I instinctively stepped between them. "Hey, what's this about? You can't just show up." He raised his weapon slightly. "Sir, I suggest you move." My throat went dry. Laura's voice cut through the air like steel. "Lower it." For a split second, he froze. Not because she shouted, but because she didn't need to. Her tone carried authority, quiet but absolute. "Who are you?" he demanded. She looked him straight in the eye. "The person who trained the people you're pretending to be." The man blinked. For the first time, he faltered. That's when I realized the truth. My wife wasn't just some quiet researcher or project coordinator like she'd always told me. Whatever she had been before Haven Ridge, it was bigger, something that gave even armed men pause. The leader exhaled sharply, lowering his weapon just a fraction. "You should have stayed gone, Laura. They said you were done." "I was," she replied, until someone started looking into missing evidence. His face darkened. "You shouldn't have done that." "I didn't," she said, stepping closer. "But I know who did." And then, without another word, she closed the door. The men outside shouted, pounding again. I grabbed her arm. "Laura, what the hell was that? Who are they?" She turned to me, voice calm. "People who think I still have something they want." "What do you mean?" She looked me dead in the eye. "Before I met you, I worked for a division that doesn't exist on paper. When I found out what they were covering up, the money, the false arrests, the disappearances, I walked away. But I didn't walk empty-handed. My heart thudded. You took something? I took the truth. Before I could process any of that, the front window shattered. I ducked instinctively as glass sprayed across the room. One of the fake officers shouted, "Hands where I can see them!" Laura moved fast. She reached beneath the couch and pulled out a small black case I'd never seen before. Inside it, a badge, a sidearm, and a phone sealed in protective casing. She tossed me the badge. "When the lights go out, call the number engraved on the back. Tell them it's code 927. "What lights?" The house went dark. Total blackout. Through the darkness, I heard her moving. Precise, silent, trained. The sound of a door opening, then gunfire. I hit the floor, heart hammering in my throat. Seconds passed, maybe minutes, before the lights flickered back on. The men were gone. The front yard was empty except for tire tracks in the gravel. Laura stood by the doorway, breathing heavily, her jacket torn at the sleeve. "They won't stop," she muttered. "Then let's leave, we can go." She shook her head. "You don't run from this kind of thing, you finish it." That night, we packed what we could and drove to an old farmhouse 2 towns over. A safe house, she said. The kind used back when the world still made sense. Over the next few days, she told me everything. Her real name was Laura Dane, not Laura Carter. She had been an operations analyst for a covert division under Homeland Intelligence. 3 years ago, she discovered internal evidence of a secret program, an off-the-books surveillance system targeting civilians. When she confronted her superior, he vanished a week later. Then came the threats, the forced transfer, the accidental data wipe that erased her identity. She disappeared before they could erase more, but she'd made one mistake. She'd kept the final backup, proof of everything. That proof was hidden somewhere they hadn't found until now. "They're desperate," she said, staring out the window of the safe house. "If they're using imposters instead of official channels, it means someone high up is panicking." Days blurred together. We lived in silence, curtains drawn, waiting. Then one evening, as the sun dipped low, a car rolled down the dirt road. Slow, deliberate, headlights off. Laura watched through binoculars. "Same men," she said softly. I swallowed hard. "Then what do we do?" She turned toward me, eyes steady. "We end it." That night she set the trap. She placed a single envelope under the porch light addressed to the division. Inside, a blank USB drive and a note that read, "You want it? Come get it." Then we waited. At 11:47 p.m., they came back. 3 vehicles this time. Engines off, doors silent. The same leader stepped out, the one who'd first come to our house. His name, I'd learned, was Cole Avery. He approached the porch, scanning the area. His men flanked the house. Laura stood inside the living room, invisible behind drawn blinds. Her phone screen glowed faintly in her hand. I whispered, "They're here." "I know." She pressed a button on the device she'd hidden earlier. A soft hum began outside, faint, mechanical. Then the porch light exploded, followed by every other bulb in a half-mile radius. The men stumbled, shouting. Their radios crackled, dead. Their vehicles clicked as locks froze. Cole cursed, reaching for his weapon. The front door swung open. Laura stepped out slowly, her silhouette framed in the broken light. "Drop your guns," she ordered. "You're outnumbered," Cole snapped. Not anymore. Headlights flared from the trees. 3 unmarked SUVs rolled forward, doors opening in sync. Real agents emerged. Tactical gear, flashlights, rifles trained. Cole froze. "Federal Bureau of Internal Affairs," one of the agents barked. "Hands where we can see them." The imposters hesitated. Laura stepped closer. "You should have checked your sources, Cole. You weren't the only one I sent that note to. The rest happened fast. Real agents cuffed the fake ones, reading rights they didn't deserve." Cole turned toward Laura as they dragged him away. "You think this ends with me? You're exposing people who don't lose." Laura's eyes were calm. "Neither do I." In the days that followed, the story broke nationwide. Undercover operation uncovered. Agents impersonating officials arrested in multi-state sting. Whistleblower exposes secret domestic program. No one mentioned her name, not publicly, but in private people whispered it like a ghost story. Our life in Haven Ridge was over. We sold the house quietly, moved somewhere coastal, a town where no one asked questions. Every morning, Laura walked the shoreline barefoot, watching the waves as if searching for peace she wasn't sure she deserved. One afternoon I asked, "Was it worth it?" She smiled faintly. Truth usually is, even when it costs everything. We never spoke of that night again. Months later, a letter arrived in no return address. Inside was a small silver badge, on the back engraved in tiny letters, for the one who stood her ground. Laura held it in her palm for a long time, then tucked it into the drawer beside her bed. That night, as we sat together watching the tide roll in, she whispered, "You know what's funny? They thought they were coming for me, but all along, I was coming for them." She took a deep breath, the ocean wind brushing her hair. They picked the wrong woman. Sometimes truth isn't just dangerous, and it's unstoppable. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories that prove courage still exists.